Greetings and salutations, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and Coach Mad Hatters. Welcome to our 90-day Journey by Heart, Series 1, Installation for Days 58 to 64. This session's theme is titled The Star Dome 1111 Golden Gateway, aka Intrapersonal Reflections of Being Streetwise plus Spiritual. Because we are inside the eye of a grand phoenix rising, I've called upon my mahogany wood ancestors and gods and goddesses of divine intervention to travel alongside us to ignite and activate our clarity and our creativities so that we may know the truth by the way that it feels, especially as we grow and resonate with our highest good, uniqueness, and wholehearted individuality. Furthermore, for those intrinsically enlisting to my love team, I thank you kindly, as your presence shall continue to contour my courage to level up and honor my own tender transparencies and authentic expressions. During this time together, I shall aim to tap into the frequencies of our divine's omniversal heartbeat plus intuitive rhythms, mainly for the sake of optimal exchanges of inner court clues and cues that help decipher the signs and symbols of our bigger pictures. And also so that we may accurately and automatically sense our 6 degrees of closeness, storylines, community affections, affirmations, and divine timing. Thank you for tuning in. The CMHU Coaching Conclave is now in session. Ashe. It is such a delight to share this time and space with you. I am Coach T. Marie Wiggins, and I'll be serving as your tour guide, your EQ special tour guide. Why? Because emotional intelligence through self based narratology, astrological awareness, and zodiacal consciousness helps rekindle and enrich our courtships with self, as well as our invisible muses, especially when we are in romance with our invisible muses. And since time is fluid, I welcome the notion that whenever you discover this session, it shall serve as an indication of Divine's timely intervention of our emotionally upward bound scholarship. This installation shall cover an array of interpersonal developmental components. So please have your keynote taking utensils ready. There are, let's see, well, let's just run them off. Okay, so there is this thing that I am now calling an intrapersonal purpose discovery zone. And in conjunction with certain planetary alignments and energies, they can become energy portals, which means we can utilize certain influxes or influences of planetary aligned energies to boost our intentions, to invite serendipity to come and do its thing. So here's the rundown. On Tuesday, the 12th, full moon in Taurus. And I paused because I was wondering if I was going to roll down what actually took place for me personally during the full moon in Taurus, but I'm going to hold off. Let's go ahead with the rundown. Wednesday, November 20th, Mercury goes direct. Now, remember, there is still, I want to say 7 to 10 days. You know how they do the 7 to 10 business days? I think Mercury is in on that. So, after 7 to 10 days after Mercury goes direct, is when you, me, we can take uh, full advantage of the resume of Mercury's powerful direction. On Friday, the 22nd, November 22nd, the Sun is in Sagittarius, goes into Sagittarius. Monday, November 25th, Venus enters Capricorn. And on Tuesday, the 26th, we have a new moon in Sagittarius. Looking at this, well, amongst other things, but specifically about Venus entering Capricorn and the new moon being in Sagittarius. Those two key notes prompted me to go and pull all of my uh, Sagittarius placements inside my birth chart. And so my Mercury is at Sagittarius 22 degrees, and my Jupiter is in Sagittarius 23 degrees, and then my Neptune is in Sagittarius 4 degrees. Now, with me still being novice and my scholarship, I'm not 100% just yet of what that all means in conjunction with everything else that's going on in my chart. But what I am discovering is purposeful. There is a purpose in my discovering the various elements and placements inside my chart and how it relates to what has happened, what's happening, what's going to happen, as well as what has not happened, what's not happening, and what'll never happen. And between those two polarities, I find myself. And it's amazing because the more and more I study it, the more and more I am becoming neutral with regards to where an apology is needed or expected. It's freaking remarkable how my time with this particular type of self-based study is not only bringing me what feels like a leveling up of wisdom, but it seems to be dissipating certain grudges. Now, are they instantaneous? No. But the more and more I ponder and contemplate and stand in those moments when I am reconciling and doing my due diligence to bring a healthy flow of uh, wiping the slate clean energy. I can't think of another term right now, but when the moments when you go within to wipe certain slates clean or call certain things even or let certain people, places, and situations off the hook, or and I'm I'm slow to say forgiving because honestly I have yet to find out exactly what that means. Now, yes, folks will attempt to say that it's the engagement of no longer being upset about it or no longer holding the conspirators um, responsible for certain things or just allowing yourself to no longer be angry about it. And honestly, inside the act of forgiving, I think it goes a little deeper than that. I honestly have not come to a particular conclusion with regards to this thing called forgiveness. But what I will say is that I agree 1,000% that forgiveness is all about the healing of self. But I've often found myself questioning, like, how do you actually do that? What is that exactly? What does it feel like in practical terms? Remember, I'm a Capricorn sun. So it's like, how do you reconcile your emotions to the point where you can stand firm and say all is forgiven? Because I've seen so many living examples where they say that they've forgiven something, and trust me included in this whole, and in this whole analytics about forgiveness. But saying that you forgive something, does that mean then, or saying that you forgive someone, does that mean then that the sight of them will no longer make you feel whatever it is that you were feeling in association to the situation or the circumstance? And then I've always found it rather remarkable as, uh, okay, let me slow down. This whole I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget thing, that just seems a bunch of hoopla too, because what I've noticed for myself personally is when I truly let someone off the hook or wipe the slate clean or the so called all is forgiven, I do forget about it. Like it doesn't even come up anymore. And when it does come up, or when I do see them, those dreadful feelings do not return. And since I am inside of my own personal Grand Phoenix Rising, I have to find out for myself what it actually means for me to forgive. What does it look like when a Capricorn forgives? Because trust me when I say I'm challenging my mere nature, and not saying Capricorns don't forgive. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it is part of our greatest commission to understand how to wholeheartedly forgive, how to be inside of intrapersonal reflection and understand, especially when you are a research and developer within the astral realms, like inside of astral consciousness. There is this medium, this meridian that you must give respect and reciprocity to, mainly because there are so many things beyond your sight that is taking place, that's going on in the unseen, that can't readily be accounted for. I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Okay, I digress. We're gonna um, we're gonna somewhat stick to the script. So, streetwise plus spiritual. Inside the 1111 portal, which I like to look at as my golden compass concords. And since I've made a stance, I've made a stance that I am now a participant of the Matrix Reloaded in this dimension. So on 11/11, which was Monday, Veterans Day, I sent all my love and light to those who are directly or in conjunction with our military forces. I have several family members that are careered military personnel. Um, and I remain at awe at their service and their dedication to protect and be in commission, even when what it is they're fighting for is not readily clear. Which is also another baffling portion of my existential contemplations. But I won't get into that right now because I think inside this realm there will always be war because there will always be the fight to sustain some virtues over others. Um, and I say that all whilst believing that there is a magnificent quality of energy being ensued to help us, aid us, direct us, educate us, inspire us, motivate us, encourage us, enrich us. So, in all honesty, I will say I don't believe it's going to stay the way that it is, nor is it going to be like anything history has ever recorded. I do believe we're moving into new territory with regards to the alignment of certain hearts, minds, and consciousness. I do believe that there's going to be a balancing of um, monarchy. I do believe that the last shall be first, whomever or whatever that may mean. And I also believe that the overall transmutation of this thing that we like to call spirituality is going to uh, take on a hue that is more iridescent than anything else. We're going to step into the woo-woo and give it its proper due. We're also going to readily extend an array of honorarium to all that goes on inside the unseen. We are increasing our awareness to the fact that so much goes on in the astral sense that then trickles down into the 3D, into the third dimension, and that they are all directly related, intrinsically connected. So inside the Matrix Reloaded, here's the first keynote. All that is happening, regardless of immediate understanding, understanding, overstanding, and affirmation, it is in contribution of contouring the greater good. So what does that mean exactly? It means that all that happened to me or has happened to me or going to happen to me, whether I like it, whether I kiss it or diss it, it is all for the greater good. Everything that is unfolding inside this overall reality will not be to our liking. And I have to tell myself that every day because I promise you, if it gets on my nerve, agitates me, irritates me, drain my patience, it almost feels like the enemy. And I know my social conditioning is the reason why I view it that way. I also know that where I am, especially, haha, hold on, let's put this into Pluto being in Capricorn. Listen, let me tell you something. I have been in awe with what it is that I am discovering about Pluto being in Capricorn from January 2008 and will be in circulation until January 2024. Now, yes, Pluto will retrograde a few more times before this time span is before this time span concludes. But the fact of the matter is, there is a lot of things that have been taking place within this time bracket that has already taken place within this time bracket that, without me knowing about this, has left me completely baffled. Completely baffled. Stepping into this discovery gave purpose to certain things, especially the hard stuff. The hard, life changing, felt like I was like took up residency in hell. I often say I've been to hell plenty times and I got plenty t-shirts. Been there, done that. I think I am a frequent visitor of hell. And my religious conditioning is what had me view first it being hell, and second, that just because I didn't like it does not mean hell is this ornery place. Having to sit with my shadow side, I mean, it's not like the greatest, not at Disneyland or anything, but it's not as scary and horrific as the mainstream commentary leads us to believe. All that is happening, regardless of immediate understanding and affirmation, it is contouring upon the greater good. The Matrix Reloaded. And most often, when I think about The Matrix Reloaded, I think about a lecture that Sister Myra Moss, I think she was in the Hall of Ma'at. Um, I was getting ready to say that I'll leave the link in the keynotes, and more than likely I will, for you to, if you're interested, um, visit with that lecture. She breaks down the scene in The Matrix Reloaded where Trinity is being shot at and she's falling out of the window. Um, and it's amazing too, um, because the particular scene, I, on Monday, November 11th, which truly was the eye of inside my 1111 Golden Gateway, I decided on Monday to watch The Matrix Reloaded, as well as several seasons and episodes of The Newsroom and NCIS. And often when I have days like that, I know I'm on a hunt for something inside the storyline. So I already knew that I would be visiting, especially The Matrix, that I would be visiting it to find answers. It's still rather tickling how I can watch the entire Matrix trilogy and not remember something, or it means something different to me because I've so much other things have unfolded and revealed themselves to me that now when I watch it, it means something totally different. The scene with Trinity being shot at, falling out of the window and still shooting that old boy. Man, come on. If that's not talking about the divine feminine, like, yeah, we are falling. We are being shot at and we are falling. But check it out, we still shooting back. Like, we still shooting back. Why? Because that just gave me chills. Because our divine masculine is coming. Like, they got shit that they got to deal with too. But did you see how Neo, like, flew through that building? Like, come on. Like, our dude, that gave, ooh, I got the chills. Our divine masculine is making moves. The unseen is being contoured all for the enrichment of what our neos will have to do when they blaze through the fire to come for us. Sister Myra Moss breaks down how Neo had to go inside of Trinity, massage her heart so that it may return its beat. Inside the matrix, it is all mental and emotional. That's how spoons can get bent. That's how certain things within the with how certain things that mimic certain assimilations can be easily manipulated within those spaces because it truly is all about what you think and how you feel. I always turn that movie and many movies like them inside out. And inside out meaning that, wow. And in this instant, 27:27, I just looked at the time and on the video. In just in this instant, it became difficult to be able to explain what I mean by inside out. Um, uh, Maybe as I roll on, it'll come to me specifically so that I can put it to words. Um, the imaginal realm, when you when you spend time inside your imagination, and if you happen to be an individual that does not spend very good time inside your solitude, inside your quiet spaces, aka your imagination. Okay, I'm not gonna put no judgment on that because I was about to put all sorts of judgment on that. May I invite you to do so? May I invite you to get somewhere quiet. If you're the type that likes to put your earbuds in, get some meditative music, some music that instantly helps you to relax. Close your eyes and just see what pops up, what comes by, what drops by. Um, the correlation. Let me see if I can take my time with this. Okay, so inside the matrix is as if you were laying with your eyes closed, visualizing, right? Okay, so if a thought comes up inside of my head, right, and it plays out a scenario, and I'll give you, just for the sake of living example, I'll give you one of mine that pops up regularly. It is me inside of a classroom, an adult classroom of certifying coaches, and I am explaining to them the significance of storytelling, mainly telling the art of telling their own story and what that looks like and what it feels like, as well as the behind the scenes of that process, meaning the research and development and the gathering of information to be able to confidently tell one story. Inside this vision, because it is part of my dream weave, of course, I am in wonderful space. I am in this natural flow of harmony and my invisible muses have attended. My ancestors are rocking with me. So whatever it is that they would have me say, or they help me explain things, or give a more elaborate depiction of certain things so that I may interpret it and it may ring true, it may resonate with my scholars. Like we truly have an elite connection going on as we exchange information and dialogue and we share. Sometimes it can begin to play out where I lose control of my senses, because that's a fear of mine. The meaning that I begin to lose my train of thought, or I am finding it very difficult to tap into certain energies that would allow um, that moment to be at its ultimate. But because I understand the emotional investment at stake, as well as the fact that this is my vision, I can manipulate it immediately. Yes, the vision may be playing out that might, if I allow it to play out that way, cause me some type of anxiety and heighten my fear even more with regards to standing in front of a group of people and being the primary presenter. So instead of me being caught up in the way that it's playing out, I literally can seize that vision and manipulate it and make it be as I would will it to be. Every single thought or vision or hunch or notion, ponderance, anything that shows itself in front of my mind's eye, I have control to redirect it on site instantaneously. As I've said before, and I'm probably going to say it and say it again, Disney pays their Imagineers just as well as IT pays their engineers to be able to imagine as if, hmm, not as if, or is it? In ease the way an architect is with blueprints. So an architect, especially a seasoned architect, can whip out blueprints like second nature. Not saying they're not challenging or none of that. I'm just saying that the engagement of completing blueprints that will serve as the foundation for a structure, for a sturdy structure, is the equivalence of one who is very comfortable with entering into their imagination and manipulating the scenes without fear. Having the power to edit its thoughts, knowing that their thoughts is an extension of the unseen realms. Now, of course, your fear lives there, but as well as your gratitude lives there, and your joy lives there, and your bliss lives there. Like you can pull varieties of emotion to infuse your visions. Now, is this dangerous in light of one who may be considered addicted to escape? Yeah, but excuse me, so is every single element in this dimension. Anything done outside of moderation runs the high risk of addiction. It really doesn't matter what it is. You can be addicted to attention, money, sex, people, places. I personally am addicted to this thing called astro alchemy. There's not a day that goes by for the last 24 months that I have not been feverishly trying to decipher what I am considering signs and symbols about my path, my existence, the reasonings of why my celestial body decided to send a piece of its soul to be embodied in this dimension so that I may see what's going on, so that I may ripple inside of this thing called history for a little while. Like, what's the point? I took some time with a snippet yesterday by Movie Flame, which I think I am going to put inside the keynotes, um, that gave a really good, uh, yeah, it was a depiction. It was good commentary too, but the visuals, how about this? The blend of the commentary and the visuals gave me a different view about the astral realm in conjunction with this third dimension. And so it made me go look up astral, which is the non-physical realm that resembles the stardome, to which a multitude of psychic and paranormal phenomena is ascribed, and by which the physical realms are its counterparts. Pluto being in Capricorn and me being a Capricorn sun provokes me to find out all that I can about the existence of this time portal and what's actually going on with Pluto and Saturn and the effects of it, the special effects of it, the side effects of it, and how that may rearrange little old me here in this time and space. Because honestly, there was some major things going on in 2008, 2009, 2010, and 11, and 12. and 13. 14 and 15 too, 16 and 17. Yeah, 2000, yeah, last year and this year. Like it's been so much going on. And it really uh gave understanding to like me getting in tune with my shadow side and what that meant. If you think the movie Us is spooky yeah, a horror flick, sit with yourself. Sit with your shadow self and then write about it. I guarantee you, anyone who takes that instruction will probably be the next Jordan Peele, especially us youngins. And I say us youngins meaning because I'm still like on the more younger side of life. I might be midlife, but I'm still on the more younger side of life. And even if my human body is facing 50, honey, let me tell you, yeah, I'm Benjamin Button. The story of the Capricorn is that it ages back. The aging is it runs backward. I can't really explain that right now, but I want to. The human body ages, but the soul of the Capricorn is depicted in the movie Benjamin Button. I don't really know how to explain it no better than that. My oldest is almost 30, and it's really tickling how we will be hanging out or be in a space together, and those that do not know us personally won't believe that I'm his mom. Or like, oh my gosh, that is not your son. Like you got a son that old? Yes, honey. And even though I sometimes feel like my age is wearing on this human body of mine, I don't feel anywhere close to 50. I mean, and if I was to really like give it some thought in astrological terms, my sun being in Aquarius, which is the direct connect to Uranus, which is Saturn's daddy, I would not be surprised if some of my archetypal infusions will begin to identify the fatherly wisdom in my son. Like we're all connected in correlation that we have yet to even tap into. Something miraculous happened when I began to view my children according to their sun, moon, and ascending sign, especially being a infused replica of that planet. It instantly boosted respect because I began to understand them according to certain archetypal characteristics. So it no longer became, I'm your mother, do as I say. And I began to speak to their greatness and began to challenge them with them too being celestial royalty embodied to this realm to do something, to achieve something, to bear witness to something, to be a catalyst in this whole game we call change. I speak to them about the successive nature of their maturity. I have two boys, both Aquariuses. They understand that I see the king Uranus in them, that they're air signs, which means they can they can whip in and out of certain situations and bring remedy without a second thought. I, on the other hand, am Earth. I am Treebeard. So it takes a little time for certain things in my life to transpose, as well as my upbringing and my social conditioning and me not wanting to have that bleed into their childhood and their upbringing. Which brings me to my notion of quest mates. And I've mentioned this, and I want to say maybe 2 or 3 installments ago, where I would like for us to dig a little deeper into the notion of being one's quest mate or having the privilege to be a friend's quest mate. Now, you can be your own quest mate, or you can serve as a quest mate for family and friends. But in a quest mate, let me just so that every mind and heart is aligned on the same page. If you have not seen the series Stranger Things, then the series of Scooby Doo will probably do good for you. Um, Now, if you are not familiar with Stranger Things or Scooby Doo, Jiminy Cricket, I'll even say The Matrix. And I know there are plenty more, but right now, because I am um, underneath the recording clock, mine does. Let's see, did I write something else now? But I don't think I did. If it continues to um, pop up, I will add to my examples. But in the series Stranger Things, one of the louder things that struck out to me was how much time was wasted with them trying to get folks to believe that what was happening was actually happening. Like, because of their town's social conditioning and their love for wanting to say that folks was crazy or mentally insane or, kooky or whatever, like their dismissive nature is really what had them experience the hardship with the alien entities in the first place. Because if everybody believed the crew, if everybody believed them when they were trying to tell them, they wouldn't have had encountered half of the disaster that they did. And the main thing was the adults were not listening to the children. And sometimes I wonder, like, if any of my kids come to me and say, "Hey, mom, listen, we just saw such and such and such and such. We just came in contact with such and such and such and such." I really don't think I'm gonna be like, "Child, go somewhere and sit down." I don't think. I just don't think that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And so I like for you to take into account right now. And even if you can't reconcile it right now, take into account. Would you be dismissive if any of your godlings came to you and say, "Having a problem, like we have a girl in the basement, like that has these superpowers, and she has quite a bit of stuff going on, and she's running from scientists who want to dissect her, and she knows how to move things with her mind, like, how would you really take that in? How would you deal with that? How would you handle that? Because I know, even in this time and space, that so many are being labeled mentally ill when in fact they are engaging with superpower influences within the unseen realm. And I will even take you further to say that many that have been diagnosed as mentally ill is actually emotionally ill. And that's why they can spend so much time in a therapist's office and spend so much money in antidepressants. Is because we still live in a society that refuses to acknowledge that emotionality is just as powerful as mentality, and that the grooming, the contouring, the the malnutrition or the trauma and neglect can register just as detrimental, whether it is toward the mind or toward the heart. And we can't control or predict anyone's mental state any more than we can predict their heart state. The brokenhearted do not belong in a mental institution. There's nothing wrong with their mind. But because we ignore the power in one's emotionality and we can't pinpoint it and we can't harness it and we can't control it, we can damn it and manage it, it's better to ignore it and neglect it, try to shove it into this bag that we try to make fit all. Because to acknowledge the chaotic stance of one's emotionality, you opening up a bag of worms. And I don't even really know what that means for real, because it's just like, okay, to open up a bag of worms, then you just have an open bag of worms. I don't know. I don't know. Or should I say, I don't know just yet. Okay, so moving along. Our Pluto influx and influences. Um, to give greater account to it, Pluto is the ruler of psychology, as well as the transformative sciences of dark magic and shadow work, just to name a few. So there's this thing called the butterfly effect. And I was thinking that inside the 1111 Golden Gateway, in just over that portal, in conjunction with any little efforts that you have been making to better understand yourself from an astrological, celestial, ultra spiritual, will grant you the recognition inside the realms beyond the naked eye. This thought, just this thought alone, just beyond the threshold at the 1111 portal, all of the small things that I have been doing to better understand and my existence, as well as solidify my esteem for just being me, regardless of my career, my education, whether, whatever, whatever type of social connotation, whether I rank good in it or bad in it, just my being. I keep being prompted to identify and associate with Tiamat, the draconian Tiamat. Brother Bobby Hammond speaks a lot about the draconian elite and what it is and what it means and how it relates to the folks that are within my cultural denomination. The series Dungeons and Dragons, they are the ones that personify the draconian energy of Tiamat. And so I did just a rough search, and a draconian is a supremely strong and powerful five-headed dragon goddess. From the name within the ancient original Mesopotamian mythology, the queen mother of the dragon pantheon. Now, inside the Dungeons and Dragons series, Tiamat is considered evil by default, also considered villainous. Why? How often do we hone into the one that's telling the story? And I ask that question because I often think also about when Brother Bobby Hemmett says, one man's God is another man's devil. One man's heaven is another man's hell. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Especially as we begin to sift through this dynamic of right and wrong, good and evil. So who's telling the story? Because remember, we've been indoctrinated. So we've been indoctrinated, which would mean that the villain of the storyteller, almost through osmosis, becomes the villain of our stories. And listening and sitting in on some of those lectures had my wheels get to turn and be like, okay, hold up. If they're the ones, if our oppressors are the ones that's telling the story, and what they would consider evil just for the preservation of their existence, that would mean that inside these stories that are being told, my people, I'm the black evil Tiamat. I am the draconian goddess with five heads and wings that expand. I can't even, it's beyond my vocabulary. But yeah, you know what a dragon look like. And if you're not sure, you can go and flip through the Game of Thrones. And there are way more other dragon stories out there, but that's my favorite, so I'll give it a little air. So you already know who I identify with in the Game of Thrones, right? It provoked me. It provoked me to become serious about my research and development around the dragon, especially the female dragon, the head leading mama dragon, Mama Tiamat. I've had a concentrated magnetism towards the archetypal characteristics of the mother dragon and how she could show up inside of the oppressive storytelling as evil, and how, because they arrived to take whatever they wanted, and she seared their ass to smoke. I can see very, very quickly how the Queen Mother, became this entity of evil. Also, inside of my purpose discovery, I had to tap into my own core regarding my parents, my grandparents, biological and celestial, as well as living and or ascended. And how Dick Gregory often says in his interviews of how he had to learn that he did not own his children. He was the physical vehicle that got them here. But the celestial signed up for a body in the 5D long before it was the opportunity, the conceived opportunity for it to get here arrived. And I don't know if I'll ever truly understand this whole thing called human existence and what it's all for and why it exists in the first place and why the dimension by which the human dwells has to be an equal give and take of trial and terror and triumph and tenderness and trauma and treachery and teachings, treasures. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And I don't know if I'll ever understand or truly be able to tap into why some humans have a more harder, more debilitating experience than others, and what it all means, and language evolution, and emotionality, and emotional investments, or the lack thereof. Like, I honestly can't call it if I'll ever grab one to the, I don't know. But what I do know, that is, until I do have a better handle on my understanding, understanding, overstanding, I am to suspend my judgments. I got to do that. I have to suspend my judgments. Each and every human on this planet is a direct connect to some celestial source in the unseen. When I'm in contemplating with the celestial realm, aka meditation, or conversations with my inner court, aka prayer, when I am indulged in such activities, I can't help but think most times in hindsight of what this world would look like if everybody suspended their judgment. Stop fucking thinking you know everything all the time about everybody. And the more and more that comes up in my mind, and I actually give it some serious pondering, the more and more I have to pull back and understand I don't know shit. Like, I don't know nothing. And I'm damn sure am not going to continue to walk around here with the size balls that tells me that I can tell somebody about themselves. Like, how you figure to do such thing? And by me not liking what it is that you show up with, how am I the authority to dispute, to dismiss? Now, I'm still a work in progress, and these notions are still fairly new. I have begun to actively adopt them, but I can't really tell you the turnaround time. The wild unknown is truly a miraculous thing. It makes me think about the fool and the magician. That I have to remember that I do come equipped with certain powers, but I also have to check my worries at the portal threshold. I have to check my worries uh, definitely when they are in conjunction with my fears, my need to control, my so-called me protecting my feelings and that type of stuff because I was addicted to control. Very addicted to control. I needed to control everything. And remarkably enough, January 2008 is when I lost all control of everything. And I'll even say this without no shame, and that's a blessing all in itself, with no longer any shame. Because I was shameful about this shit. Man, let me tell you, I lost. I can giggle about it now, but oh my gosh, I was in such depressive episodes about this shit. Lost control of everything. I went from being able to get a job after job after job after job to nobody calling me back. And still, since 2008, nobody calling me back. I went from having various positionings in all sorts of uh, elite social, I would say networking or, yeah, grapevining. I like that word better anyway. So like within my social grapevines, yes, honey, I had my finger on the grape. Yeah, huh? To sliding into this massive hermit mode. Yes, it is the equivalence of Alice in Wonderland. I would like to. I would like to do a series one of these days, um, and invite some folks to just talk about their various hermit modes. Um, I also would like to have a conversation with certain folks who have taken up the cause to learn tarot themselves, mainly for the sake of self study, not necessarily for divination or trying to figure out what somebody else is doing, but to be able to open up the communicative channel um, for themselves. It's almost like getting your own celestial cell phone. Whereas the tarot readers are more so like messengers. But to learn tarot for yourself, um, it's like, yeah, it's like getting your own celestial cell phone. Because to learn the language of tarot is the equivalency of getting a psychology degree. Now, for those who have um, a background in psychology as well as understand and fluently speak the language of tarot, yeah, they some bad mama jammas. They some bad mama jammas. I can't wait for that day. And I do not have a degree in psychology, but I am a seeker of it. I have a few um, contemporary classes up under my belt, but I'm a seeker of it, even outside of the confines of university or higher education. So, real quick before we close out, I would like to give the invitation to, let's see, where are we? The invitation to check out Ramblin' Mike is on YouTube, and he is a really good resource to understanding the the cards of tarot and how they may be and the fundamentals of interpreting them. And I found out about him through Queen Cup Tarot. Most of the time, her recommendations are on point. And I say most of the time because I don't always tap into them. And I want to say maybe just one that she recommended that didn't necessarily vibe, but all the rest of them, and my Rambling Mike is one of them, as well as the Channel of Love. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I know her name. I can't. I don't. Yeah, I don't have it close to me. But that's a good one too. I said if I ever get a chance, I'm going. If I ever remember with inside the chance, I'm going to let her know that her voice reminds me of Evangeline on Nanny McPhee when she's speaking to her cat Lily. Such an adorable. It's so adorable. Um, how sweet and caring she is, and she speaks to her cat. It's just so adorable. And so she calls her Sweet Lily. And so that was when Evangeline wanted Lily to read the passage out of the book. It was just calm and serene and loving. You could feel the love in the tone of her voice. And so yeah, when she speaks to her cat Lily, it reminds me of Evangeline. And of course, I know I just went like way to the side with that one. But check out Rambling Mike and see if you can tap into his teachings um, regarding the fundamentals of tarot. And I think, okay, so stargazing. I have um, I have attached an addendum to the definition of stargazing for the sake of Coach Mad Hattery, and it has a lot to do with one's natal or birth chart inside chess-like contemplations. And I've been working on the positioning of the chess pieces in the traditional or the conventional sense and how it could be flipped into the placements of certain planets at the time of our birth, and how we move or make moves or maneuver inside this life in conjunction with certain planetary infusements, or the blend of our sun, our moon, and our ascending archetypes, and how the ebb and flow of certain characteristic movements, or I know I'm baffling and babbling. Please forgive me. Just trying to get this out. Is this coming out? But inside my mind's eye, I see the chessboard. And so wherever the major pieces are, even all the way down to the pawns, and I look at the pawns as it being the indication of where certain influences are in regards to the houses. So, like right now, I am researching Pluto being in my first house in conjunction with Pluto being in Capricorn, and what that all means to my star power, my self-awareness, my challenges, my assignments for self development, and just my pro personal growth, or the changing of the guards, or gear shifting, paradigm shifting, when I was meant to learn this and unlearn this, and both are super beneficial, or when I believed in this and now it has transmuted into a brand new belief in this, all by divine timing. It was meant for me to believe this during this time because it put together, unraveled, and connected the quilt that I would need as I shifted and moved into this, all successively. Meaning that without that time and space under that particular belief, what's going on with me right now wouldn't mean as much, wouldn't be as valued as much, wouldn't be, okay, so I don't need to beat that. I think you get it. So it leads me into my um, karma versus existential influence cycle season. Brother Bobby highlighted the bitches of the Dog Star tribe. He highlighted that. He gave historical commentary to how women are associated as bitches. And it seems so interesting to me that how the two most loaded labels in the history of the African American, and I'll even say, yeah, the so called African American, is nigga and bitch. That if you was to take an ounce of time to research the origination of either two, both, let's make it a wonderful holiday. Both. That both terms are the direct connect, the direct descendant of royalty. But because there's a lapse in judgment, a lapse in historical value, and a lapse in ancient revelation, revolution, evolution, that it being used in derogatory ways keeps us bound to it being keeps us bound to the negative energy of it. But trust me, everything has an opposite. So there is a positive energy associated with those labels. Historically supported. That's why I say there are many cultural denominations that know about us being the mahogany wood. Remember, there's a Hollywood. What's the other one? There's a golden spruce. There are certain trees and the magic of those trees, or the magic inside the wood of those trees that certain people will tap into and utilize. Like Harry Potter's. Uh, well, I can't even think of the wand shop. Oh, goodness, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can see the owner. I can't think of a name. I keep wanting to say Grimaldi's. I don't know right now. But the wand shop speaks, or the owner of the wand shop gives a brief summary into how certain wands are made and how the wood of certain trees gives the strength and the power and the trajectory to certain wands. And there is no uh, mystery around the building of the physical Hollywood in conjunction with the magical powers of the tree, the wood from the holly tree. And so I associate my cultural originations with the magical essence from the wood of the mahogany tree, as well as the seeds. Have you ever looked inside the seeds of a mahogany tree? Google it. And I be trying to refrain from the whole, the whole mainstream catchphrase to go Google something, but it is still rather efficient. So yeah, the seeds of a mahogany tree. Quite remarkable, actually. Check that out when you get a chance. My mahogany wood ancestors um, often makes me think of Treebeard and how Treebeard was to the hobbits, and how the hobbits were the ones that led Treebeard and the trees to the battle with the orcs, and how they pulverized their asses. And the strength of trees and all the magic that goes that goes on up under the forest bed, and the nurturing of trees and how they are divinely connected to help each other out and nurse each other back to health and bring each other back online so that they may remain sturdy and dense, impenetrable. And with that said, I don't think karma is good or bad. And I think because we don't like it, I don't know, I'm not honestly clear about if it's associated with what was done that one person figured was bad. I mean, I guess because I'm still trying to narrow and pinpoint who's the authority to say what's good and what's bad in a certain situation. And just because you didn't like it does not make you the victim, or because you did like it makes you the victor. If especially if we are going to take into account the flux and influence of certain energies by way of certain planets, where certain things were just bound to happen. And I'm even now doing shadow work, even now finding out the stuff that we don't like are the the stuff that we don't like or we would consider tragic or tragedy is actually the stuff by which courage and strength is made of. Okay, so I'm going to read a few more of the entries that I have on my list for this session. And then I have several links that I'm going to leave in the keynotes. Um, Definitely about the full moon in Taurus, um, the 1111 energy, moon magic, as well as I'm going to put in there just for as a wonderful treat, Bobby Hemmett's lecture called "The Coming of the Cosmic Elite," parts 1 and 2, which is in care of occultlectures.com with Brother Panic. Now, here's the deal. I decided to put that one up for one thing. He's in Baltimore. And it's such a delight to know that back in those days, Bobby Hemmett made his way to the DC area. And I often think that I wish that I was in tune with that circuit when he was in the height of his lecturing. The last two, let's see. So the last two is Circle Sisters 13 put me on to the web series Juju. So Juju the web series, hashtag Black Witches, um, created by Moon Ferguson. Uh, the web series has just begun. Episode 2 just landed, I want to say 2-3 days ago, um, which can be found on YouTube. Juju the web series, Juju the web series. You go check that out. Um, I'm digging it because it's addressing what happens when our black girls begin to tap into the energy of what mainstream like to call witchery. Wizardry, witchery. Now, because both of those words come with all sorts of negative connotation, I hesitate to use them. But honestly, I have yet to find other terminology that will adequately depict what it is I mean when I refer to them. The web series is quite interesting how the weight of our social conditioning yet again keeps us in disbelief that have us wasting valuable time that could be otherwise utilized to master that which is considered conversation with our inner court, aka praying, contouring of our imaginal realms, aka meditation. Like those quiet, subtle, but very, very intricate detailing that ultimately connects us to our celestial senses, our celestial source, which nothing can be done with if not acknowledged. Like the celestial switch cannot be flipped on without the acknowledgement of such. That's what brings it alive. That's what lights it up. Spending so much time in dismissive mode delays the overthrowing of this energy that oppresses folks and have no fucking manners. And it's not going to just move out of the way and stop manhandling folk. Nah, it's not going to give up its power that easily. But the flipping of the switch through your awareness and belief that says not only are you celestial inside of inside of physical embodiment so that you may walk this realm, but it also clears the pathway to such. It flips on the power cord. It opens up the throughway. So I think that's it, folks. Yeah, I think that's it. Uh, we'll end with this. I was listening to, and I can't remember which one, but it was a Red Table Talk with my girl Jada, Willow, and Gammy. I love them three. I'm telling you, I love them three. And Willow is just so metaphysically wise. That girl just makes me smile. I like to call her Willow Wisdom. So, at the same time that it popped into my head, 3 or 4, I'm telling you, within 3 or 4 days, I am viewing this Red Table session. And Willow says something about psychological archaeology. And I hollered, not because it came out exactly that way, but I have been toying around with the catchphrase of an intro to the second power archaeologist of the wild unknown. Now, of course, it's a lot more complicated, but I'm double her age, so of course, the way I see it would definitely become complicated quickly, rather quickly. But hearing her say that was confirmation. Remember, we are out here in this world to gather up the signs and symbols so that we may piece them together to reveal the bigger picture. Her saying that lit up the affirmation to continue contouring that. The wild unknown, aka the unseen realm, and those of us that seek it for wisdom, whether it's for self study or otherwise, are considered intra to the second power archaeologists. Intra means within. To the second power, baby, means to the second power. We're archaeologists of that. And that will resonate and mean something different to each and every one that engages in the contemplation. But I have a few that it means something to me. So an intro to the second power archaeologist is one that grows through their situations and circumstances as a tool of invisible transmutation, as well as they are on the lookout for certain energy portals so that they may step into it and acquire whatever it is that they need within that portal that will contribute to the redemption of their existence or those connected to their existence. They also are those that accept the fact that there are multidimensional realities. There is not just one reality, there is not just one world. And that right at this moment, things are shifting where the next dimension is truly a hop, skip, or a sleepover away. They also believe in the rescuing of thyself through self study, meaning that they are in tune with the education that tells them about their birth chart and the positionings and the planetary alignments and the ebb and flow of planetary infusions and influxes and energy domes and energy realms and yeah, the whole. And through her firsthand experiences, they will begin to record and document and offer up in true expressions the way that they play and recreate, as well as all that is in conjunction with the pursuit of their liberties and lifelong learning. And just as the young witch in episode 2 of Juju the web series finds out that if you speak it, it's done. The descendants of the mahogany wood magic has to understand that if they speak it, it's done. The kryptonite to that is their doubt. And trust me, had I not been a paying recipient of Pluto being in Capricorn since January 2008, I wouldn't even be able to fully stand in the understanding of what that means. Because that's really new to me. Now, did I know my words were powerful? Yes, but most of the time it was in conjunction with being in some argument or something. We're talking about out loud affirmations as a command. It's done. So mote it be. Abracadabra. Ashe. Taking place. It taking. How can I say this? The the effort of it taking place, or should I say the ratio by which it will take place all depends on the ebb and flow of your belief in it being so or doing so. My belief always seems to be the assassin of my wishes. If I don't believe it's gonna be good, more than likely it won't be good. Now, yeah, some instances have exceeded my expectations or have um, given me way more than I imagined. But for the most part, especially inside of that which I would consider the mediocre parts, is because my wish has had to be busy counteracting my disbelief in something or in beliefs that automatically sabotage the wish, instantly counteracted the wish. So remember, we're in the Matrix Reloaded. You speak it, it's done. Manifestation is yours. And with that, my loves, thanks for joining me, and I wish you well.